Welcome back. Post-Human Next Gen finally has released. Follows up the Post-Human Survival Horror, so this is part of a series. It's the second part. And this album was supposed to come out in the latter portion of 2023. However, Jordan Fish departed the band at that latter end of 2023. And if you don't know the context of Jordan Fish is one of the main producers. It brought a lot of electronics and a lot of the experimentation and explorative nature that Bring Me the Horizon had, especially going from 2013 onwards with Sempiternal going into today. So with Jordan Fish's departure, this is their first album as a core band since 2010. And the band's sound and I guess their lineup has changed quite a bit since then. And full disclosure, like the band would be nowhere as popular without the contributions of Jordan Fish. And with him gone, there has been worries for me. It's just like, is the band going to be able to be as explorative, be as fun, be as boundary pushing, as being as creative as before? And with this album, it's still in very good hands. I still really like this record, and I feel like the band is still pushing in a very fun and creative direction. And we need bands like Bring Me the Horizon to really push the boundaries and challenge the genre stereotypes and really kind of be divisive, but also just bring new sounds to the table. You can't really think of a band on this caliber of this many listeners and this big of a fan base that is taking the risks they're taking, especially on this record. The two main genres that really kind of captivate Next Gen are electronics and emo. This is a very emo sounding record, a lot more emo than Post-Human Survival Horror. So you get a lot more melodics, you get a lot more sing-song qualities. You do get a lot of those sounds that were starting to show up on Post-Human Survival Horror with the 2000s kind of rock, alt-rock kind of sounds. And with Next Gen, they're refined a little bit more, and not to mention, we do get a lot more songs to add on to here. Besides 8, we get doubled up to 16. So with the critic score, 77, user score of a 73, there's a major consensus that this album is very good amongst the general public. Post-Human Survival Horror experienced the same kind of thing with a critic score of a 75 and a user score of an 81. So very much both very close in their ratings to each other. And what I really enjoy about this record, again, is that the band is still exploring different sounds. They're refining the sounds that worked on Post-Human Survival Horror, and they're really just open to experimenting. I can think of an example as NA that has a lot more acoustic-driven guitars, a sound that I haven't really done before, but it sounds very much like the 2000s and late 90s. But you still get the amazing sing-song qualities, you get the heavier kind of percussion, the guitars, and you still get the glitchy kind of electronic production that is sprinkled all across this record. Utopia is an incredible start. And the soaring vocals, the anthemic nature, and the way that these songs sound so gargantuan and so stadium ready. You don't get bands like this with such amazing scope when it comes to their sound. Kool-Aid was the first song that Bring Me the Horizon made without Jordan Fish in tow. And you can definitely tell a lot more pieces of the band were instrumental into the song, particularly in the last portion where the guitarist has this amazing, almost 80s inspired heavy metal kind of guitar solo, and it sounds fantastic. And Ollie Sykes' vocals, clean sung vocals, are soaring, they're catchy, and they're very easy to sing along to. Limousine just starts right off the bat, and it's a lot more of a chugging, kind of slow burn song, but it's the catchiest song on the record, and it's probably my favorite ones. And the way that it breaks down in the end, especially with those more kind of just guttural scream vocals, it's just perfect song for me. Strangers was released almost 2 years ago, and you can definitely tell that this song has those kind of early 2000s kind of just emo, kind of just alt hard rock kind of sounds to it. It has the really just easy to sing like choruses. It just sounds like something ripped out of the 2000s. Amen is kind of the Kingslayer of this record, where you have the crazy bombastic production that just sounds like a huge wall of noise. You get the verse from Lil Uzi Vert, and you get the screaming from Daryl Pumelo from Glassjaw, especially on the last portion of the song, just kind of closing it out. It just gets absolutely just brutal at the end. And then you get to Dig It. which is probably another one of my favorite songs on the record. It's a lot more hip hop kind of influenced, especially when the electronics of it. But especially when Ollie Sykes, the lead singer of Bring Me the Horizon, is singing the chorus, the way that the vocals, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know if there's like the music theory for it, but the way that the vocals just quiver and the way that he's singing, it just sounds so emotional. It sounds so vulnerable. And songs like NA and Dig It do allow these moments of just kind of sincerity and the heart of this record to really show amongst all of the electronic, the glitchy chaos that's going on across this record. So overall, I really enjoy this record. Now, I do have a couple of issues with this album. There's a couple songs on here that do feel almost too artificial, feel too processed. In particular, I'm thinking of R.I.P., the Dustcore remix. That one is pretty much like an electronic song through and through. And while there's still parts of Bring Me the Horizon in there, I feel like it's a little bit too hollow or a little bit maybe too just glitchy and glossy for me, in my opinion. I do like the little bit of the rock pieces that are across all of these songs. A lot of that kind of balance is there, but I feel like this song kind of dives too much into the electronic sound where it does feel very hollow for me. And Die For You was a single, another one that came out a long time ago, and while it is more of kind of going into the sounds and more of those rock kind of sounds that I'm more familiar with and like, it's kind of the same kind of deal where it does feel a little bit too artificial for me. Another big problem I have with this record is that, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, there is 3 singles on my favorite tracks. I mean, regardless, your favorite songs are your favorite songs. But with a lot of these being released as singles, Lost was another one that was dropped as a single. I'm not sure if I'm missing any of them. But a lot of this album was already almost released. And while the songs are still great on their own, Lost could probably go on my favorite tracks on here. It does take the kind of the shock factor and kind of the first listen experience is that I've already listened to this song, particularly with Strangers. That song came out almost 2 years ago. And while it's still a great song, it's one of my favorite ones. I can only imagine on a first listen that would hit me so much harder. And that's what Post-Human Survival Horror really did, is that I got songs like Dear Diary, Parasite Eve. I got songs, but even though Ludens came out a long time ago as well, but you get songs like One by One and Teardrops. Like, on impact, those songs really stuck with me. And while these songs still do, I feel like just overall for this album, I feel that I wish I would have got some more fresh tracks instead of some songs that I feel like I've already had for such a long period of time. But overall, I still really enjoyed this record, and I'm still very comfortable and excited of where Bring Me the Horizon is going to go when it comes to the next couple of albums. It takes a while for us to get them, but when they do release, you are in for an amazing thrill ride through and through. While there's still songs on here that are not perfect, I still think that this record is one of my favorites of the year and something that I'm going to be returning to quite continually. And with that, I'm going to be giving it an 8 out of 10, and I can use these new markers. So, what do you think of Post-Human Next Gen? Are you messing with it? Do you not mess with it? What are your thoughts? Leave your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to be doing the Vince Staples review right after this one. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you again very soon.